Hey, everybody. Welcome to the nation. That's BBQ Nation. I'm JT along with my radio wife and co-host, LeeAnn Whippen, Hall of Famer there. We've got a Hall of Famer, I think, with us today, too. But we've got Camaro Dave, Commander Krista in the background, coming to you from our Turn It, Don't Burn It studios in Portland. We would like to thank the folks at Painted Hills Natural Beef, beef the way nature intended. You can check them out online at paintedhillsnaturalbeef.com. Well, I don't even know how to give a good description of you, Harry. You're kind of a Renaissance man in a way. You were a pilot, and then you were an IT guy, and you built big IT centers. But your heart the last 20, 30 years has been into barbecue. And so here you are. So welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you, LeeAnn. JT.
Yes, and now you're retired from IT.
Pleasure to be on your show, and always happy to talk to fellow barbecue pitmasters where we have barbecue sauce in our veins instead of blood.
Yeah.
No one understands us when we tell them we like to stand around a pit and throw in a log every 30 minutes and have sleepless nights.
Yeah.
You don't shower for 2 days in double header contests.
Yep.
Our partners appreciate the natural odor of barbecue and the humanity and the friendship and the camaraderie that we enjoy. That is bar none in this world.
There you go.
No finer community of people than barbecue folks.
That's
Very
true.
Well said.
So I just for a hand, we'll give you 2.
So I gotta tell you, I come from a ranching horse rodeo background, and I love your hats, your cowboy hats all the time.
Oh, thank you. They are from the company called Stetson. So
yeah.
Stetson, please sponsor me.
If you ever come north to Oregon and you come to my house, I have a great big poster that's framed on my wall that all you see is the guy's feet, and the Stetson is on the ground, and he's right next to a tree, and it says, "Never steal a Stetson." Like that. So it's like they hung the guy. Okay. So
there was just a question on Jeopardy about that. And I answered it. Stetson. I think they started in New York or something. I don't know, but they've been around. I think.
Oh, they've been around a long time.
Yeah, a long time. Anyway.
Okay. So Harry, our guests, you've not been on the show before. So before we really dive into all the different techniques and things that you do with your barbecue, I want to get a little backstory on you. How your life changed when you were doing one thing and what led you to barbecue, but you were a pilot, like I said, a commercial pilot, and then that kind of went away for you and you went back to school. You've got a very interesting story there.
I consider myself kind of an accidental tourist.
Okay.
I by accident got to fly 747s because I noticed that my classmates applied for the job when they saw the application in the newspaper. Back in 40 years ago, we didn't have online media, so we had newspapers. And somehow I ended up making it into flying school while they didn't. So that was my kind of first fortuitous accident. I always wanted to be an engineer, a scientist, a computer scientist, but never ended up doing that trade. And I ended up flying airplanes. And back in the 80s, there was a time when people had to buy gas on even and odd days. I date myself when I tell people that.
I remember
young generation,
that too.
Yeah. When I tell this to the young generation, they have no idea what I'm referring to.
Oh, yeah.
And there was an oil crisis in the world. So I was a kind of a refugee from that era. I lost my job as a pilot and I had to retrain for a new career. I ended up in Texas Tech. And the first week in America as an international student, my classmate took me out for barbecue. And I took one bite of that barbecue and I told myself, how can brisket taste so good? Where are you? Never tasted anything like that in my life. And I spent many years cooking barbecue for my friends and family and never imagined that what I did was any good at all. But back in 2008, there was a movie called The Bucket List.
Yeah.
that was another accident because one of my project managers came to work and said, "We're a bunch of IT nerds. We should do something with our life before we kick the bucket." And I was given a stretch goal, and I said, fine, I'll just do whatever stretch goals you guys want. So an example of a stretch goal, JT, is, let's say you always wanted to like take a ballroom dancing class but didn't. So I'll write you a stretch goal. Hey, JT, go take a ballroom dancing class. For me, they said that I like to cook, and I used to bring barbecue to work, serve to my coworkers. They say, hey, why don't you enter one of those barbecue contests where they turn in the meat in a white styrofoam box?
Yeah.
I said, yeah, okay, so that's I'll try that. So I filled in an application form to do one contest, and the contest was in Palm Springs. And I said, I'll call my team name the bucket list. So I showed my coworkers the application form, and they say, no, that's a boring name, Harry. Don't call your team the bucket list. Let's come up with a cool name for your teams. And I said, I really don't care. I'm never going to use the name again. Call it anything you want. And in the South, when you eat something you really, really like, all you want to do is slap somebody.
Right.
So my daddy, they said, why don't you call it slap your daddy? He said, that is the stupidest name I can think of. Okay. But I wrote it down on a piece of paper, never imagining I would ever use it again. And lo and behold, I go do my first contest in Palm Springs and I win it. So that's kind of how I started on my crazy barbecue journey. So I consider myself an accidental pitmaster.
I love that. I didn't know that about the name of your team. That's an amazing story. I love that.
Yeah.
That's such a goofy name, and I never would use it again. I told them I will never use that name again. But look at what happened now. So now I'm synonymous with that name. So go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's pretty cool. And especially to take your first bite of barbecue down in Texas, and then to transform that back in Los Angeles to going to the desert and cooking and winning, that had to be kind of like almost make your head spin at a time.
I have no pedigree, so it wasn't like my grandpa taught my pa, and my pa taught me how to cook barbecue. I attacked barbecue like a computer programmer. So we have something in the computers called a brute force attack. So imagine you have a gym locker, and the gym locker says 000. You go 001, 002, 003. Eventually, what happens? The gym locker will open.
Right.
So I attack barbecue the same way. So what I did was I cooked meat in Lubbock, Texas with salt and pepper. Then I wrote the results down. Salt, pepper, chili powder, result, salt, pepper, chili powder, sugar, result, salt, pepper, chili powder, sugar, garlic powder. So I built all these like flavor profiles on a Excel spreadsheet. In these days, it wasn't called Excel. It was a tool called VisiCalc. So I was kind of nerdy. And I built all these flavor profiles because I enjoy cooking for my friends and family. And I did not expect 40 years later that I would end up on a TV show with LeeAnn and Myron and all these world champions.
What's really something is I can appreciate because I'm kind of an Excel spreadsheet girl, and I have things that I take to competition, what have you. But it's not about just being methodical and being able to take notes. I mean, you have to have a true passion and know what you're doing in cooking. It's a feeling, it's touchy-feely. It isn't just a matter of reading a piece of paper. So kudos to you for bringing it all together and becoming quite the champion, I must say.
I have no talent, so I do it by brute force. In order to win a lottery ticket, I will buy 10,000 tickets. So I figure if I cook 1,000 briskets, then maybe I'll eventually learn how to cook a brisket. Of course, the first brisket I cooked was completely inedible. But as you get better and better, that's kind of how you learn. And I also have to kind of credit folks like LeeAnn, Myron, Tuffy, and all. I mean, I learned a lot from them. So they taught me a lot. So not only did we end up on a TV show together, but they really kind of, gave me a whole new perspective on the diversity of barbecue. And since then, I've been traveling around the country, around the world. I'm on my personal quest to eat at the 5,000 of the best barbecue restaurants across America.
Well, there you go. There you go. So Harry, put your nerd hat on for a second. In the last 10, 15 years, we've seen some huge advancements in technology regarding to barbecue and cooking. We've got the digital thermometers now. You've got things with probes on them that will beep your phone, and the Wi-Fi and all that. From somebody that comes from the tech side of things, and then, through chance and life and everything, moved you over to the barbecue side of things, but the tech side never left you. How does the tech affect our barbecuing now, for not just on for competitions, but also the backyard people?
I think I would address it and say that at the end of the day, it's never about the pit or the equipment. It's about the pitmaster.
Uh-huh.
You guys know who Tootsie
Oh, yeah.
Thomas from Snow's Barbecues.
Yeah.
So Tootsie can outcook me with a shovel and a hole in the ground. Despite all my Wi-Fi, DHCP IP address, and fancy gizmos. So I always tell people, always cook using the equipment that brings you most joy. If you need to use your cell phone, connected to your cloud server, connected to your grill to monitor temperature and to run your cook, by all means, do it if you enjoy it that way. If you enjoy burning down the wood in a burn pot, transferring the wood embers in a shovel and throw it beneath your hog, do it your way. So I always tell people the key to having enjoyment in life is to do things that are joyful to you. If you decide you want to own a British sports car that you love driving because you have the wind in your face, and whenever you turn on the headlights, the windshield wipers don't work. Keep doing what you're doing if it gives you joy.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, people a lot of times, I because I have a YouTube channel, I have a lot of followers. A lot of people ask me questions like, Harry, what's the best pit to buy? I always tell them the pit that you should buy is the one that brings you most joy.
Yes.
If you like putting in a log every 30 minutes and be up all night, have adult beverages and hang with your friends, that's great. But if you really want to go down to the mall, watch your brisket cook on your phone,
Yeah.
hey, more power to you. So I always say, so long as you're having joy, you're spreading barbecue love, it really doesn't matter what equipment you use.
So, Harry, you're telling me that I can go shoe shopping and I can cook a brisket at the same time?
You can easily spend $1,000, LeeAnn, while the brisket is cooking.
Thank you.
Not very hard to spend $1,000. Yes.
Yes, Harry, and I can tell you, she can do that. She's very adept at those zeros. Don't seem to bother her too much when you're in a shoe store. I can do that. We are going to take a quick break here. We've got Harry Sue with us, along, of course, with Miss LeeAnn Whippen, and it's a great show. This is so much fun. I watched a couple of Harry's videos this morning before we did before we recorded the show, and I've got a lot of questions. So we're going to take a break. We're going to be back in just a few minutes with Harry Sue. You're listening to BBQ Nation with Jeff and LeeAnn on the USA Radio Networks. Welcome back to BBQ Nation. I'm JT. If you'd like to email us, LeeAnn's got one she's going to deal with today later in the show. It's very simple. You just go to bbqnationjt.com, and there's a little contact us form at the bottom there. You can fill it out and send it to us. And we're also on Facebook and Twitter, both the shows and our personal accounts. You can find us, so that's all good. I know Harry's out there on Instagram and all kinds of platforms, so you can follow him. He's got a YouTube channel with lots of followers like that. So let's get back and talk with Harry Sue here. So one of the videos I watched this morning before we did this interview, Harry, was you talked about the fundamentals. And I think that's very important, not to get off in the outer ozone layer when you're trying to cook. I think it's very important to get your fundamentals down. And if you ever have a problem, this is just me talking, you go back to your fundamentals and figure it out. I wanted to get your take on that.
Absolutely. The idea that I always had is from Michael Jordan, right? I mean, he still shoots 10,000, free throws before he goes to a game. And why? Because it's the fundamentals. You gotta know some of the basic fundamentals as a pitmaster. I'll give you an example. One fundamental is that temperature management. You've got basically 4 tribes that I encounter out in the world, and the tribes are quite territorial. They will kill each other over temperature ranges they cook in. So let me just describe the 4 tribes that I've encountered. Sure. We have the ultra low and slow people. The ultra low and slows are the people who like to cook below 210-ish, where the temperature of boiling water is 212. Then you generically have what I call the low and slow, which is the 225 to 275 people. Then you have the hot and fast, the 275 to 325 people. And then the ultra hot and fast, the 325 and above to 450 degree people. Now, these 4 tribes, right? believe that they have the best method, each of them, and they will kill you like a Jerry Springer fist fight if you argue with them. So because I'm on the internet every day answering to all the trolls who get on my channel and on my YouTube, my Patreon, my LinkedIn, my TikTok, right? I have a front row seat to all these folks out there. So I always tell people, so long as you can master the fundamentals of the difference between a direct fire and indirect fire, you know how to control your draft, you know how to control your temperatures, you know how to cook your meat until you form the Maillard reaction, which is the crust, you know how to do any kind of wrap to render the collagen into gelatin, and you know how to probe it to know when it's done. That's all you need to know about barbecues. 1, 2, 3, cook until crust sets, do some kind of a wrap phase, and then pull it when it's tender. Just as simple as that. 1, 2, 3. That's all barbecue is about.
I liked your bamboo skewer, your smaller skewers there that you were probing. I do have one thing though. I'm a Jiffy or Jif peanut butter guy, not a Skippy. Okay, so so I got to ask you, because I never stuck a bamboo probe in a jar of Jif peanut butter. Is there a difference?
Yes, I actually teach a lot of classes. I cannot believe in about 14 years, I've trained 4,000 pitmasters myself in small dozen-sized classes. And I always tell them that you can follow all the advice in the world, but the best advice I can give you is go to Walmart and buy a jar of creamy peanut butter.
Yeah.
The brand I like. Put that jar of peanut butter in the fridge. Get 2 bamboo skewers. One you're gonna poke into that jar of cold peanut butter, and one you're gonna poke into your brisket or your pork butt. And then once the feeling is the same, your meat's done. That's pretty much it. There's no need to measure the internal temperature. So I always tell people that when you're in my class or you're my student, it is a leap of faith, because a lot of my students have spent 20, 30 years cooking, following religiously on certain formulas on time and temperature. And I tell them the first thing you want to do in my school is you lock your watch in the drawer and you lock your thermopan in the drawer before you even start cooking. Harry taught you, number 1, cook until crust sets. Number 2, wrap. Number 3, pull it when the peanut butter feels right.
I had never seen that till this morning, and I was like, I get it. I understand it. I'm even willing to try it. I just didn't know if my Jif peanut butter was different than your Skippy.
Skippy. JT is Skippy, okay? Well, Skippy should sponsor me, I think, because I've been pushing Skippy for the past 14 years.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So do you get a lot of blowback from, like you said, the trolls and stuff, that they are so locked into either a specific time and temp, or that their technology, I see that a lot. I mean, I watch a lot of the videos. We have tons of people on the show, and some of them are so locked into the technology now that it's like, for me, and I'm sure LeeAnn is the same way, when we grew up cooking and went through this process, we didn't have digital thermometers. We didn't have scores of fancy tools, if you were. It was, by touch and feel and sense and taste and those things that we kind of come with every day. And so do those guys really give you a hard time sometimes?
I recently published on all my social media channel a good insult, because I love a good insult.
Oh,
the guy said that, Harry, you are a fake pitmaster. The fact that you wear a cowboy hat, doesn't make you a real pitmaster. In fact, the pictures of your briskets look like the anus of my dog before he poops.
Oh my God.
And I thought, dang, that is a really good insult. Let me go ahead and post it on all my social media platforms, because I take my hat off to you for really knowing how to insult me.
Oh man.
That's awful.
Yeah. Then I show him the picture in my garage of my first place KCBS USA brisket #1 trophy. Champion, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So, again, I hate to be snippy, but sometimes the trolls out there, they kind of get under your skin.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Well, and here's the clue, folks. I saw pictures of Harry's garage with all the trophies in there, the big ones, the small ones, and all that. He can't park his car in his garage. He's got too many damn trophies in there, but it was impressive. I liked it,
Yeah.
So I can see where it's kind of like, yeah, if you're going to insult me, why don't you do this over here, and match that. Then you can really get after me. It was very important. The one thing you did that I hadn't seen before, and well, first of all, you said you have a Goldilocks spot, and I think that's very important for people, because when people talk to me about it, I always say you really got to know your grill or your smoker or whatever you're using. There's going to be cool spots and hot spots and flare up spots, and if you just take it for granted, you're never going to get a consistent cook with whether you're doing a brisket or ribs or steaks or whatever. You're just not going to get it, I think, if you don't know the pit you're cooking on.
Absolutely. And everyone should learn their pits to find the sweet spot. For example, on a 1,000-gallon offset, whether it's a Moberg or Milski or Centrex, there's a sweet spot. And the sweet spot will take about 40 briskets on a 1,000-gallon. So once you kind of know that, you want to put your briskets in the sweet spot. If you have a pellet grill, it doesn't matter what brand. I always tell people, get some tortillas or some white bread on sale, toss it all over the grate and run the pit at different temperatures. So run it at 200 degrees, see which of the pieces of bread burn first. Do another test at 250, 300, 350. Sure. You'll eventually get the hot spots figured out and the cool spots. So if you really want to like blast your chicken, put your chicken on the hot spot. If you want to run your pork loin a little lower, you run it on the cool spot. So everyone should really understand that on every grill, you will never get 100% of sweet spots all over the cooking grate. You just have to figure out where the warm spots are and the cooler spots are.
There you go. We're going to take another break. We're going to be back with Harry Sue. You're on BBQ Nation with Jeff and LeeAnn right after this. Don't go away. Welcome back to BBQ Nation. We are very fortunate today to have Harry Sue with us. But before we chat with Harry again, we'd like to thank the folks at Painted Hills Natural Beef the way nature intended. They now have a new online store. They revamped it. I would suggest that you go to their online store and check it out. You can buy as little as, one steak if you want, and it will be delivered to your house. So check out paintedhillsnaturalbeef.com. And also, here's Miss LeeAnn's deal. The Trim Tabs Pig Powder Barbecue Dry Rub was developed by her dad. It's won Best Rub on the Planet. It's used by winning Pitmasters for over 30 years. It's now available online at pigpowder.com. And LeeAnn will even autograph a picture and send it to you if you buy some pig powder. So go to pigpowder.com and get some of it's really good rub. That's all I'm going to say. So let's get back and talk with Harry here. So in the one video I watched, you were doing the difference between a competition brisket and a backyard brisket. There was a difference in how you trimmed them. There was a difference in what you did to them. One thing I really appreciated, Harry, was right at the top of that segment, you were saying, this isn't something I would feed my family or serve at home as far as the competition brisket. The backyard brisket is that. So I know we have, excuse me, a lot of people on the show that say, oh, I do the same thing. I do it same thing in the competitions as I do at home. I don't doubt that they do that. I'm just wondering what the results are as far as the people that come to their house and eat. What's been your experience with that? Because I agree with you. I'm sure LeeAnn agrees with you.
I do.
I think that the operative question to ask is what's the objective?
Mm-hmm.
The objective of a backyard restaurant brisket is to feed people. The objective of a competition brisket is to win a $10,000 check.
Yeah.
So once you get your head wrapped around that, then the technique becomes much clearer. I'll give you an example. If you are a barbecue judge and you take one bite of food, it's about 2 ounces. So if you eat 8 samples of chicken, that's 16 ounces. You eat another half dozen or more servings of ribs, followed by pork butt, followed by brisket. So by the time you get to the brisket entry, your taste buds are completely burnt.
Yeah.
With the MSG the disodium inosinate and disodium guanolates that the contestant put into the food together with the sodium phosphate for the injection. So your mouth cannot taste anything else. So as a competitor, I know that. When I turn in my brisket entry is inedible because I know that the judges have consumed 48 ounces of meat before getting to my entry.
Sure.
So I tune my brisket to win a contest that way. Because if I were to turn in a brisket that was ordinarily seasoned, at the last entry of the day for the judging tent, that flavor profile would never work. Can that make sense?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I would never serve that to my friends and family because it will be oversalted.
Mhm.
So that would be an example of how you think as a competitor based on the objective that you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
For example, like today, I'm working on some recipes for a TV show I'm going to be on. And I have to think that what are the objectives that the judges on the show will be looking for? So I'll give you an example. I'm going to be cooking some side dishes. And I know that I need to cook the side dishes on the grill and not on the stove. So I'm having to retool some of the side dishes that I'm practicing to make sure they actually will work on a grill. So these are the kind of thought process that I always suggest people take into consideration when they want to cook for family and friends, co-workers, for a catering, for a restaurant, or for a competition. In a restaurant, it's a completely different story because your yield is very important, your golden ratios are very important, and you can't make any money. And you have to sell your brisket at $35 a pound.
Yeah.
So the trim is very different. You have to grab every morsel of tallow. You have to grab every morsel of the trim to make sausage, to make hamburgers, or to do something. So it's all kind of different. So I always teach people that you really need to think through the process before you start.
Oh yeah. Do you do that? Do you take that same thought process with your ribs or your chicken or those, or is it mainly with the brisket because it's at the end?
It's all of the above. All the above. Again,
Okay.
when you're a competitor, right? It's cooking a barbecue contest is like tuning a 12-cylinder engine. Assuming that there are 4 entries of chicken, ribs, pork, and brisket, each of those entries are assessed based on 3 pistons or 3 criteria: appearance, taste, and tenderness. On the day that you can fire across taste, appearance, and tenderness across the 4 meats, which is analogous to a 12-cylinder engine.
Sure.
And it's finely tuned and you can fire all 12 cylinders perfectly that day, there might be a chance you might walk on stage as grand champion.
There. Yeah.
So it's really hard to be a grand champion. I've won about 30 grand champions. So I know how hard it is to be able to do that. And I really take my hat off to all the pitmasters out there who are competing at the highest possible level, that they can consistently execute every single weekend 35 times a year. So to me,
Yeah.
that's a phenomenal accomplishment.
It is. I like your analogy too. I love it.
Do you do that, LeeAnn?
What
he just described?
Well, you have to. I mean,
Yeah.
I never thought of it as an engine, but I like that.
Yeah, I like it too. So
imagine on Monday you buy meat, on Tuesday you trim meat, on Wednesday you make sausage injection, on Thursday you pack, on Friday you drive, you cook Friday, you cook Saturday, you drive back on Sunday, you clean up, on Monday you start over. If you do that 35 times, 40 times a year, I had 16 men, their wives told them, you are not going out with Harry anymore because you went out with Harry every single weekend.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yes.
One of the things that you talked about is, and we talked about it at the top of the show too, controlling the heat. I think that's the most difficult thing. And I've said this in many shows, and I'll probably say it many more, but I think controlling the heat is really the toughest thing for people to get a handle on.
You just buy a pellet grill. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, you can do that, but I think,
I'll tell you though, I mean, I'm a huge advocate, obviously, for Pit Boss, but I still think, like you said, there's hot spots and not, and you still have to, whether you're setting it to a certain temperature, you have to know where to place the meat. And if you want your char, if you need to move it to the hot end, and is it ready for that? So I still think it's still, plays into factors, pellet grill or not. Not as much, but I still think it's there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I do too.
Love
But
it.
Yeah, the idea is that more important than the temperature that I want to focus on is the temperature is okay, because remember I told you earlier there are 4 tribes, right? There are
right,
4
Mhm.
tribes:
right.
ultra low and slow, hot and fast, and ultra hot and fast. So let's kind of let me just back up to 50,000 feet and kind of set the stage.
Sure.
When you have 4 tribes, the operative question you got to ask yourself is not which temperature range you want to cook into, or how well you're going to hold at 212, or how well you're going to hold at 275. The operative question I teach my students is that you need to know something called the draft. The draft is the convection current of hot airflow flowing over your meat. You cannot get the Maillard reaction and the non-enzymatic pyrolysis of amino acids on your meat if you do not know how to control the draft. That's why the well-designed pits like the Mobergs and the Centrex out there, they have very good airflow. That's why you can cook an amazing brisket with just salt and pepper. So when you have something like an automated cooker, like a pellet grill, LeeAnn is absolutely right. You just need to know where the hot spots and the cool spots are and where the airflow is, and very importantly, understand the draft. So when a pellet cooker has a fan, there's a lot of draft, so the meat dries out really fast. So you got to be really careful to make sure that you don't dry out your meat too much, because once the crust is set, you really want to change cooking methods. You want to apply some moisture and some heat and some time to it in a wrap stage. So when you cook barbecue, you really need to understand the concept of draft, which is the convective airflow over the meat. How you bathe the meat with the different kinds of smoke is extremely important, because in wood, there is a very important resin in there called lignin. So it's actually the pyrolysis of lignin on the wood that causes the evaporative gases of the carbonyls and phenols to bathe your meat. And that provides 90% of the magic of barbecue. So I teach that in my class so that people can master their grill. So whether you decide you want to be like Tootsie, use a shovel, cook with embers, or you want to be like LeeAnn and kind of check your pit boss on your phone.
So let me ask you this, Harry. What tribe are you in these days?
I am agnostic. I'm promiscuous. I kiss all the tribes.
Good
Remember,
answer.
my everybody asks me, Harry, what's your favorite pit? My favorite pit is a clean pit.
Yeah.
Because next to folding laundry, next to folding laundry, cleaning a pit is really at the bottom of my list of to-dos.
Yeah, I get that too. And you were talking about, and everybody talks about this. You talk about, kind of spritzing the meat with moisture. How often do you do that on a brisket cook? And are you using apple juice? Or are you using something else, a vodka tonic? I mean, what is it?
Well, there's I probably spritz my meat with maybe 20 plus different types of ingredients, and I found out the best ingredient is actually water.
Oh yeah.
So the spritzing of the pit of the meat is actually to generate something called the smoke ring, which is the staining of the microfibrils of protein pink. The idea is that you create micro droplets in your pit to generate carbonic acid and nitric acid. The nitric acid and carbonic acid stains the microfibrils of protein pink, and that's how you establish a smoke ring. Even though the smoke ring has no flavor and judges are trained not to judge the smoke ring, you and I know as competitors, the day we turn in the brisket without a smoke ring is not the day we're going to go on stage.
Nope.
Right.
So the water is used to generate a smoke ring. So what I do is I teach my students how to use a 99-cent spray bottle to introduce the water at the optimum portions of the cook. So to answer your question, I don't recommend we spray the meat early in the cook. I recommend we start spritzing the meat towards the end of the cook. So as the crust sets, you increase your intensity of the amount of water, and then you reduce the time interval between the spray. Now, as to what is the Goldilocks spray technique, you have to experiment on your own pit, on the meat, to see what is the maximum smoke ring that you can generate. Because the idea is to crust as soon as possible to create the thousands of new flavor compounds on the surface of the meat. And then after that, wrap the meat as soon as the Maillard reaction is complete.
Excellent. And we've just completed segment 3. So we're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to be back with Harry Sue and LeeAnn Whippen right after this. Don't go away. Welcome back to BBQ Nation. I'm JT along with LeeAnn Whippen, and we've got Harry Sue. If you don't know it, his label, his handle is Slap Your Daddy BBQ, which I love. I think that's just I think that's so funny, and the story behind it is so funny. The one thing that you pointed out that honestly I never saw anybody else point out in their videos or their speaking is you put the wood blocks under the brisket so it arcs and you don't have puddles. How did you come up with that?
I was trying to solve a problem because when I was cooking my brisket on the grate, the puddles would happen and I would not get any bark. So I drew my inspiration from the Astrodome. So what happens when it rains in the Astrodome? The rain, water rolls off. So I thought, why don't I just make my brisket look like the Astrodome, prop a piece of wood underneath, and that way I can get absolutely championship level bark, regardless of the lumpiness or the level of the brisket when it sits on my cooking grate.
Yeah, I think that's
genius. Not only that, but where I know exactly where you're talking about, where that puddle happens. It's almost invariably on the slices that you're going to turn in.
Yeah, exactly. Right in the middle where you want to turn into the judges, the puddle happens. Yes.
Yeah,
exactly.
I just thought it was great.
People tell me that I should sell my wood blocks for $19.99.
Yeah, I think it's awesome.
Well,
$29.99.
You could put a little brand, a little Harry Sue brand on each one, have them made that way, and then you could patent it.
You
probably
can sell it with his Skippy peanut butter.
Yeah.
like the Ginzu, right? I'll sell you the peanut butter, I'll sell you the bamboo skewer, and I'll sell you the wood blocks for $19.99.
There you go. But wait, there's more. You could
There's
double
a Stetson hat in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Order now, a 50% discount.
Yeah. And if you order double, all you have to pay is the shipping and handling, all that type of thing. That'd be great. I'd love to see that. That's funny.
So now that you're quote retired and you're really diving into the barbecue thing, what have you done? What are you doing more that you weren't doing before that you want to achieve since your retirement in IT?
I think that I am able to travel now a lot more. I mean, last year I did 50 gigs. That's a lot.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to be invited all around the world. I've taught private classes to well-heeled clients in other countries. I did the world's largest trade show in Cologne, Germany. We think that barbecue is big in America. We cannot hold a candle to the Europeans. Their trade show, to give you an idea of the size, the barbecue area alone is 6 soccer stadiums.
Oh,
geez. Okay, so you stop and think. You know how big a soccer stadium is, right?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
That's the barbecue area in the trade show. Is 6 soccer stadiums inside each.
Wow.
The average booth there that I went to is maybe about, I don't know, like 70 feet by 70 feet square. That's the average booth.
Holy moly.
Yeah,
I
and
had
we think
no
that barbecue is
idea.
big here. I've never seen anything like that I saw in Europe in a place called Spoga Gaffa. So I was there for 3 days doing demos as the American Pitmaster in the event in Cologne. And they invited me back this year. So I'm going to be heading back this year to do it again. So they are like absolutely bonkers over barbecue. They are really absolutely crazy.
Wow. Huh.
Yeah. And, I get emails and messages from people that listen to the show in Europe and stuff, and in, Germany and France and all that. Mostly Germany, though. Harry's right. They're just bug crazy over there for the stuff. And I love it. I've got a ton of followers on Facebook that are Pitmasters in Germany. I can't read their postings.
It's called Google Translate.
Yeah, Google Translate is absolutely.
Yeah, they love gadgets. So if you have gadgets, right?
Yeah.
I would launch it in Europe. If I had a swell new gadget, I would just launch it in America. I launch it in Europe. They are crazy nuts over stuff like that.
Huh.
Is there anything that you want to do in the competition side, Harry, that you haven't been able to do yet? Particular competition you want to compete in or win, or now that you've got a little more time to dedicate to barbecue? I think Harry needs like 28 hours a day instead of 24. So just a kind of a general question there, but I think people would like to know.
I feel very blessed because I had a good run cooking competitions, and you reach a point in your career where I get more joy watching my students and my proteges become successful.
Yeah.
And I've been following all my students around the country and watching them succeed at American Royal, at the Memphis in May. So for me, the biggest joy right now is to kind of pass on what I know. As a human being, we live life in 3 phases. The first phase of your life is when you are between, say, 20 years old to 40 years old. You just finished college and you're trying to establish yourself. Your job in phase 1 is to learn from as many masters as you can. When you get to phase 2, when you are age 40 to 60, you take what you learn in phase 1 and be the best that you can be. To be the best mother, father, be the best engineer, accountant, pitmaster, whatever. When you hit 60 like me, in phase 3, it's time to give it all away. You can't take it with you.
Right.
Remember, the average male in America lives to 76. The average woman lives to about 80. So all you need to do is count the amount of sand you have in the hourglass going forward versus what is behind you. And that really focuses your life. That what am I going to do with the remaining sand left in my hourglass? I would submit the best thing that we can do to bring joy to our life is to give everything we have away. That's why I give away all my recipes that I won First Place USA on my YouTube channel. And people can't believe that, oh, Harry's giving away his recipes. Do they really work? People try my recipes and they walk on stage and they win grand championships. They open successful restaurants because they work. So my belief is that I encourage everybody out there, if you reach phase 3 of your life and you're fortunate and blessed to reach phase 3, you should give it all away.
I understand that. Yeah, I've kind of turned that corner myself of wanting to help people versus having people help me. And you know, there's a lot of stuff in our brains by the time we get to 60 years old, and I think it's time to share that. I think it makes a lot of sense. LeeAnn's only 34 though, so she's got a way to go.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's in phase 1.
She's in...
You all.
it's all good. So if you're in that third phase, Harry, what about on the side that doesn't have anything to do with barbecue? Do you want to travel a little more? You've obviously been a world traveler for a while. Are there places in the world you'd like to go?
Yes, I was fortunate enough because of barbecue. I cooked a musk ox ribeye underneath the Northern Lights.
Oh.
If you have never done that, that is a magical, transformative experience.
Yeah.
So my next goal is I'm gonna try to cook a steak on lava on a place on Earth where 1/3 of the lava flows out of the crust of the Earth, and it's a place called Iceland. So if anybody's listening to this podcast who lives in Iceland, can you invite me over and make me a 10-foot pair of tongs, and let's go cook a ribeye on a lava.
I'll go too because I'll eat it.
Okay, yes. Let's do that. JT, and let's do it. Let's cast it out to the universe and find some kind soul in Iceland who has a long, pitchfork. And let's go cook the steak on lava.
Okay.
You know, there's a place up here in Eastern Oregon where they actually cook steaks on pitchforks, but they deep fry them. It's in a great big vat of tallow, and they boil it up every night, and they dip them in there. I've eaten one. I never got a chance to go out and watch there was a lady doing it when I was there, but I found that fascinating. It was like a deep fried steak, no breading, no nothing on it. It was just in there for a couple of minutes and out and on the plate, and it was delicious actually.
There you go.
But
well,
yeah,
I'm going with Harry.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. Harry Sue, excellent to talk to you. Harry's going to stick around for after hours. That won't take too long, but gosh, it's been really great to talk to you. And I love your thought process that you combine engineering, if you will, with matters of the heart and soul. And I think that's
it's
cool.
Amazing. And also, we didn't even get to touch base on the upcoming show. Did you want to say anything about that or not say anything about it?
I'm filming a TV show on a country western channel, and it's going to be really interesting because they have 12 backyard cooks paired with 12 pitmasters. I'm one of the mentor pitmasters. So you see Obi-Wan Harry on a station near you soon.
Okay,
that's
very
awesome.
good.
Congrats.
Yeah, very good, Harry. Harry Sue, everybody, and you can find his channels on YouTube and Instagram and all that. And we're going to get out of here for this week. It's been our pleasure to be your host for this last hour. And Harry's going to stick around for after hours. So as we always say, remember our motto here, turn it, don't burn it, and take care. All right, here we go.
So we got another 15 minutes of your time, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
We won't hog you too much there.
We know you're busy.
Oh goodness, yes. Hey everybody, welcome to After Hours here on BBQ Nation. I'm JT along with LeeAnn Whippen, and we've got Harry Sue with us today. If you didn't catch the regular show, go back and find it. It's fascinating.
A must.
It's a must. Yeah. Yeah. And Harry, I'm the cowboy cook, but Harry's wearing the cowboy hat. But it's hard to get my headphones on with my cowboy hats on. So I'm just going to do that. So, Harry, in After Hours, we ask you some kind of fun questions. They're not too serious, but you can answer them any way you want to. How's that? You ready?
Sounds like a plan. Shoot.
Okay. All right. Here's the one I always like. If you were declared supreme ruler of barbecue for 1 week, and LeeAnn makes that judgment, nobody else. She's the only one that can grant you the title of supreme ruler. What would you, as supreme ruler, decree about barbecue? And it can be either competition, backyard, whatever you want.
The first decree that I would say is that cook barbecue with whatever methodology, technique, rub, sauce, seasoning, wood, pit that you like. Yeah. And so long as you're having joy doing that, it doesn't really matter.
Very good.
Love it.
Do you remember the first thing you ever smoked or barbecued or grilled?
I cooked my first brisket in Lubbock at Texas Tech in the 80s, and it was a total disaster. So I had a lump of carbon by the time I was done.
You're not the first person, Harry, that's told us that, because they go back to their origins and they say, yeah, but that first couple, you couldn't even eat them. And so I think you're in good company there. Would you describe yourself as a sweatshirt kind of guy or more of a formal wear kind of guy?
I would say Speedo, but I shouldn't say that.
Oh,
the wrong visual. No, I think I'm most comfortable in my California attire. As LeeAnn will tell you, I showed up on a TV show called BBQ Pitmasters in my shorts, and it was like 20 degrees.
Yeah.
And I was the kind of walking around. I had to turn on the heater in the rental car just to stay alive.
Oh, yeah. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Did you have a favorite event when you were competing a lot? Like one cook, one weekend that was your favorite?
I think my first contest was my favorite. I showed up with everything that I threw into my van that I found in my kitchen.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was doing. I showed up at this contest and I was just gonna cook just one contest and go home and be done. And that contest was the historic moment when I won it. And as they say, the rest is history. I would never have been blessed with this journey to have met folks like LeeAnn and all the wonderful people in the barbecue world. If there had not been for that fortuitous, accidental event of a contest because of the movie The Bucket List. I say that because a lot of people in life are very, worried about being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So the lesson I learned in life, sometimes it's good to be uncomfortable because sometimes these accidents turn out to be the best forks in the journey of life that you will ever have. Don't follow your rational brain, follow your instincts. Mm-hmm. When I was offered the opportunity to be on a TV show, John Marcus, the producer, called me in the middle of a contest. And I thought to myself, it's 12:25. Why is somebody calling me in the middle of my rib entry? So I said, hello. And he says, hi, you don't know who I am, but I'm a TV producer and I want to put you on a TV show. So I said, yeah. And I hung up. I thought it was my competitor pranking me, trying to get me disqualified.
Oh, gosh.
And lo and behold, I did not know that John Marcus would invite me to be on a TV show with 3 world champions, because I would have run for the hills. They would be like on a basketball contest with LeBron and Steph.
Yeah, sure.
But I went there and I met LeeAnn and all these wonderful people, and we all became friends over the course of several months. It was an amazing, amazing journey.
Mm-hmm. Excellent.
I agree.
What would you say if this actually happened? And I'm not saying it did or it didn't, but the biggest mistake you ever made, Harry Sue made during a competition?
Oh, that's simple. I was squirting my brisket, and it was the lights were off, and in the morning I found out that I was squirting my brisket with Simple Green.
Oh, geez.
Oh!
Like you said, Harry, it was inedible.
Yes,
Oh,
and
I hope you had a
I looked at
backup.
the fine print says that it's not toxic.
Yeah.
So I won't tell people what I want on brisket that day, but that brisket got turned in.
Oh, gosh. Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Okay, so my secret is out. So now the world will know my secret.
There you
Simply
go.
Green. Oh my god.
I think that's the best answer we've ever gotten.
That is absolutely
That's
unbelievable.
a world champion answer
What
right
I
there.
learned is that when you put Simple Green into a spray bottle, please label it.
Yes, yes, yes.
And you
Oh,
can't
my-
see at night that it's green, right? Because at night when you're spraying, you can't see the color of the bottle contents.
Right.
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 Oh my gosh.
Maybe if you actually have a bottle of Simple Green, you take it and put it in the back of the truck and leave it there till you go
Oh
home
my
Sunday, or
gosh.
something like that. On a scale of 1 to 10, Harry, how much barbecue do you eat on a regular basis? 5 nights a week, 1 night a week? What do you do?
You know, I am experiencing the same health challenges that many pitmasters experience. That as you get older, and I'm past 6 decades now, and my doctor tells me, Harry, you need to take care of yourself. It's like an old car; you need to drive it gently. So I try to actually eat less barbecue. I'm kind of trying to eat healthier the best I can. And to answer your question, I probably eat barbecue usually whenever I cook for classes and I shoot my YouTube videos. And of course, Mr. Beans, our family dog, he always expects barbecue, so I cook it for him.
There you go. There you go. If you could dine with a historical figure, doesn't matter if they're still alive or they're not, but if you could have dinner with a historical figure, who would that be and what would be on the menu? Because you get to choose the menu.
Oh, okay, that would be simple. It would be Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
He's my mentor. Arnold has very similar roots like me. He arrived in America, could barely speak English, and I admired his work ethic because he taught me that he worked in construction for 10 hours a day. He went to the gym for 5 hours. He spent 2 hours in acting school, 1 hour eating, and 6 hours sleeping. And he said that if sleeping 6 hours is not enough, just learn how to sleep faster.
Yeah.
So over the years when I was in America, on the days that I'm lazy, because I'm the most disciplined, lazy person on earth, I would have pretend Arnold is screaming in my ear, and he would say, Harry, get off your sorry rear end and get to work.
There
because
you
you need to put in your 16 hours a day before you even call it a day. So I consider him my mentor. If I were to die and I would, love to cook him a meal, I would cook him something German. So I make a German smoked pork knuckle.
go. Oh, there you go.
And
There you
fried.
go.
So with sauerkraut that I'm going to smoke the cabbage in the pit.
Awesome.
That's excellent. So would you describe yourself as corn-fed or grass-fed, Harry?
Definitely grass-fed. And the reason I say that is because I was in Ireland and I ate grass-fed beef for my one of the few times I've eaten grass-fed beef, and I have become a fan of Irish grass-fed, grass-finished beef.
You know why that
Flavor is
is?
amazing.
Because when they empty out the Irish whiskey bottles from the pub every night, if there's a little bit, they pour it on the grass, and then the cows get that. So there's a flavor profile there, Harry. I'm pretty sure. So anyway, that's just my thoughts on that. Do you remember, or I don't know if you go to them or not, but a concert, if you've gone to a concert for enjoyment, what's the best concert you've ever gone to?
Wow, gosh, I have not gone to a concert for a long time besides the cooking in the Sam's Invitational and having a famous singer sing at the Sam invitation.
Yeah.
That was my last free concert.
Okay. Okay. Very good.
So for
So
Pitmasters, right, LeeAnn, you know the story. We are on the road all the time, right? There's
Yeah.
really no personal time to sign up to go to a concert.
sure.
Yeah,
I
but there
get
are
it.
some, actually, you're right. There have been some good musicians along the way.
Oh,
I
yeah.
was completely amazed at the Sam's Invitational. They had like is it Carrie Underwood?
Yes.
Mm.
She came and sang like in the parking lot, and I thought, wow, for a crazy star like that to show up and sing to the 50 teams. I thought, wow, how did Walmart pull that off? Then somebody reminded me that Walmart carries her CDs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If Harry Sue was an animal, what kind of animal would you be, and why would you say that?
Oh, I would basically be a shark.
Oh.
Yeah, we prowl the ocean, and you are the top predator. That is kind of how I want to be, and I want to be a benevolent shark.
There you go. There you go. Great big fin or just a normal fin?
Will the one have the one with the little
Yeah.
head on the top here?
Yeah. Okay. I got it. I got it. Is there anything you miss about your 20s, Harry, except that your knees and back don't hurt when you get up in the morning?
Mhm.
I often think of a thought experiment that if I had the same barbecue wisdom, life wisdom, and work wisdom that I have today, what would my life have become? Because in my 60 plus years on earth, I realized that my happiness is based on really not what I own, because my happiness is a state of mind that begins essentially with learning how to be grateful, because gratefulness is a precursor to be thankful. Thankfulness is a precursor to be happy. If I had known that when I was 20, which I know now, I think that I would have done things a little bit differently. I
Yeah.
learned in life, right, that before I open my mouth and do something or hit the send button on an email, I should ask myself 3 questions. Number 1, is what I'm going to do necessary to send or talk or open my mouth? Number 2, is what I'm going to do actually true, is factual? And number 3, is it kind? So
Yes.
these are the lessons that I've taken at this age of my life. And if I was 20, if I had known some of these things, I think that my life would have been a little bit different. But, again, it's never too old to change. I consider myself a lifelong student of barbecue, of life, and of work. And I will continue to be a student to the day I die.
I think that's an excellent answer. And my philosophy has always been, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth, so you should listen twice as much as you talk. Even though I'm in the talking business, I still try to listen more. So what would a fantasy day for Harry Sue contain for activities?
Oh, very simple. I just go out and cook with my buddies. I cook with
There you go.
LeeAnn, cook with Tootsie, cook with Myron, cook with you. That
Yeah.
would be the pinnacle of my day, just to share the camaraderie and the spirit and the love of barbecue. I always tell people in life, right, it's really, really important for you to be able to give love before you receive love. The way the universe works is the more love you give to the universe, you are tossing these little boomerangs of love out in the world. These boomerangs of barbecue love will come back and hit you on the side of the head way bigger than you possibly could imagine.
I love that. I love that. Okay, so here's one that's a little make you think a little bit. But what would your last meal be if you were on death row?
On death row. Let's see. What would my last be? I would love to have something like a good paella. And I have on my bucket list to enjoy a paella from Spain. So I have not done that yet. So that's on my next list.
Okay, good.
Awesome.
And we don't ever want to see you on death row, Harry. So just
That's right.
go enjoy the paella and have a good time. When and if you ever actually retire and stop the travel and stuff, 15 years from now, what do you want to do then?
I think that I receive so much joy from the barbecue community that is something that I will do until I cannot do it anymore. So I always tell people that in life, you just have to find a purpose, because I spent all my life making a living. and not doing much in terms of making a difference. So now I'm more and focused on being a barbecue BBC documentarian by documenting all the legends of the world, like LeeAnn and you and everyone else on my YouTube videos, enjoying the spirit, the love, the camaraderie, and the friendship of all of the human beings that call barbecue their main passion. And for me, that's really what Larry life is all about, is having joy every moment of the day, living in the moment until there are no more moments.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground here today and in the regular show, and you've given us a lot of things to think about. But if you had one message to give to the world, just one, what would it be?
Remember that you are a spiritual being and you're just having a very temporary human existence of one lifetime. That's all you get.
Yeah.
So never forget where you came from. Never forget where you're going, and enjoy this brief moment of life in your body.
Excellent. Harry Sue, thank you so much. Harry, I'll let you do it in your own words here. How can people find you?
You can find Harry Sue on @SlapYourDaddy BBQ on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. All of the above. You can find me there. I post daily now. I post shorts because people seem to like shorts. So I've been posting these little 60-second reels to keep you updated on all the things happening in my world.
Excellent, Harry, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. You're so busy. We really appreciate it. And it was an excellent interview. And I love your insight and thoughts on just about everything that you said today.
Yeah, I do too. And we got to work on that Stetson thing for you. I may still have some connections back from that world. I'll let you know if I can find it. All right. Harry Sue, thank you very much. LeeAnn, thank you very much. Folks, we'll be back next week with another edition of After Hours here on BBQ Nation. And like we always say, turn it, don't burn it. Take care, everybody.